All right, Andrew Rivers, we're back again to talk about the Hard Knocks. We're talking about Hard Knocks episode 3 today. 3 episodes in, I'll spoil this part. I think this was the most boring of the 3 episodes.
I kind of agree, but I wasn't bored during the episode.
Sure, but it was like, first off, I didn't watch the preseason game because I think preseason games are very annoying. And so then, like, the trying to create this, like, kind of false storyline around the preseason game was, I didn't love, where it's like, championship teams pride themselves on the red zone. And you're like, yeah, but it's like a seventh string offensive tackle and a fifth string running back. Like, these guys are not champions. These guys are not going to be on the team in 3 weeks, you know?
I Yeah, but I mean, how many times can you create drama out of practice and hitting a tackling dummy
Sure.
and for this seventh string lineman, this is his life and this is the biggest deal of his.
Yeah.
The MC auditions at Spokane Comedy Club were nothing to me, but they meant a lot to some people. So how dare you trivialize people who didn't have to walk the same path you did. I mean, you were a first round pick in comedy, obviously, so you never had to struggle or create fake pressure with the Seattle International Comedy Competition. This is my big shot. Pat Wilson's in the back watching.
I definitely didn't start doing my first time doing the competition and go like, I should document every step of this so that I can have it for later, and then quit after 3 times not placing on the first 3 shows. No, I mean, I think they're a little bit pigeonholed into that, right? Because they've created this thing where they're fast editing, so they just they have to put out whatever happens this week. And if this was a show that got edited 6 months after it got filmed, I think they would just not include the preseason game, or any of the preseason games maybe, but at the very minimum, I think it would be a much smaller part of the preseason game. You don't think so? You thought it was
because
that gripping?
That is not to me, but it is funny, the human element of the story, like watching this real estate agent who won a Super Bowl ring because he tore his hamstring.
The player part. The player, yeah. I agree with you on the player part. What I'm talking about is the idea that the team failing in the red zone in the preseason game means anything at all was something they were like trying to play up for drama.
Were they? I think the only red zone they were doing their pun thing with the real. They know the most valuable real estate is in the red zone. I think that's what their joke was. So I think they were still focused on the human element of it, as opposed to they didn't show Mike McDonald bitching out the team and going, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen. You guys are pathetic, and give me back your rings." Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the start of the game, or the start of the show, because he starts out with this quote Mike McDonald does where he says, he was talking about how he used to call a game to not lose the game. And this is a thing that I think that why I'm very happy with him as a coach, why I liked Pete Carroll, even though I think you disagreed with his. Here's what I tell you. I think there's a decent chance that Mike McDonald passes the ball on the one in that exact same situation. Because the point of, and Pete Carroll did a lot of playing not to lose later on in his time, but he used to play really aggressive, especially on defense all the time, right? Like the whole thing was like, get the ball. The ball was the most important thing. And so often we see these the 28-3 comeback in the Super Bowl, obviously, where it's like these teams kind of take their foot off the gas and end up losing as a result of it. And I appreciated that from McDonald because I think he obviously at earlier points in his career had some imposter syndrome, but so much of what we see from coaches is just trying to, I always think of it as like they have the post-game interview in mind when they're making these late game decisions, where they're trying to do the thing that's the most defensible. You remember a couple weeks ago when Terry Francona chose to intentionally walk Dominic Canzone to pitch to Cal Raleigh? He explained that incredibly well and explained it how, yeah, like it turned out badly, but I would probably do the same thing again because this is what my philosophy said. That's ownership. That's not doing a thing that's like Buck's conventional wisdom, or that is doing a thing that bucks conventional wisdom. It's not doing the thing that will make the post-game interview the easiest. That's like, you know what I mean? Does this make sense what I'm saying?
Are you saying that it was the right decision to pitch to Cal Raleigh, or it was the wrong decision and he was thinking of the press conference?
Well, I mean, obviously the outcome was bad, but I think that the
Right.
like the if you
Process
if you
over
think,
results is the
yeah,
phrase
I would
that
say
is
it was
popular.
good process that led to bad
Yeah.
results. Exactly, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Cal Raleigh's hitting worse than a one-handed baseball player from the 1920s or what, you know, like there's
There's new stats every day of how bad his season is. Anyway, I thought that was pretty powerful, and I hope that's something that he sticks with. And I think like, and I mean, you know, there's probably comedy parallels to this also, but like
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, I think there's like comedians that we know, or maybe even us, where like as you have more success, you get less risky on stage, and it made me think of that immediately. Like, are there jokes that I won't do now because I've had like kind of edgy jokes in the past, and I'm like, oh, now am I like worried people won't book me because of that? And I'm like, oh shit, I should probably not be worried about that because I used to not be, you know?
Well, we talk about this a lot where it's like the focus should be doing things you think are funny the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're like, well, I don't want to bomb. I want to get rehired, and I don't want to have to explain myself when I get a weird email because someone wrote a complaint or, you know.
Yeah.
And so there is that gap that you sort of have to close of like, you know, and then there is a certain amount of, I think about this often, you know, when I read my comment section of like, people come to expect a certain thing from you, and then they go, why are you talking about politics or whatever? And you're like, well, I don't know. Sure, some of the jokes are cheap, and also it's pretty important, don't you think, that, you know, obviously not, because you're rooting for this guy or whatever.
Sure.
You know, and that's made me reflect sometimes on like, man, am I sliding into Steve's territory too much where I'm
Steve
like
Hofstetter for the folks.
Yeah. So like he's a super political commentator and I get to tour with him and it's good money, and then I end up writing jokes on that tour that I then bring to like bar shows in Puyallup where I'm like, I could have just left that at the tour, you know, like what am I doing? And then the difference being that if it's a bit that I fully believe in, instead of just being like, here's my clever DEI joke, like, who cares? Like, have fun with that, and then actually write the things you actually believe in. And so, but yeah, playing to win versus playing to not lose versus just go up there and don't fuck anything up. I mean, comedy competitions we were all kind of bitching about yesterday at the golf tournament, and it's like some of the best sets are people that lose their mind and yell at the audience and tear down the whole system, and that's a delicate balance. You know, it's it when it works, you look like a genius. When you don't, that press conference is not that fun.
Yeah. I do think there's like one, comedy is such like an independent, theoretically it's one of the few things where the person that performs it is also the sole person that writes it and is nowadays the person that produces the version of it that shows up on the internet, whether it's through like a small clip or a self-produced special or whatever. And to me, there's a part of it that goes like, you know, if I decide, you know, Bob Dylan went electric, right? Like if there's a version of that where you go like, well, Andrew Rivers became political, I don't like it anymore. It's like, yeah, well, sorry. Hopefully you'll keep, you know, look again when I'm not political in 12 years or whatever. Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, but this is like who I am now. And the other version of that is like audience capture, right? Like, I don't think we want that. And as comedians, we don't want that. It's not like, I don't think Mike McDonald is ever going to be crowdsourcing play calls or something like that. But I do think that thing where it's like he's had a lot of success, so it's easy to. He's got a ton of credibility and goodwill to just go like, I'm going to do shit my way, and people are going to give him a lot of leeway to do that. Now, Ryan Grubb did shit his way for 1 year and got let go as the offensive coordinator. So, like, there's a version of this that ends up badly. But, yeah, I respect it either way. And there's, it's unfortunate how much I try to draw comedy parallels to sports. But I do like, that seems like a
Warriors in the
one.
garden. Warriors in the garden.
That's just us, baby. That's us, warriors out in the garden. And by the garden, I mean the back room of
the
shitty
marijuana
bar.
fields. Yeah. Well, I think that's the humility was one of the things that people said stood out to him. I mean, he say he like opened last season, the Super Bowl winning season, by being like, I am screwing up and I messed this up and I messed this up and these are my goals. And the team was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
We thought we were pretty good, but you're right. And that makes it less difficult to hear my own criticism.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a lot harder to negate someone's criticism when they've been that self-critical. Yeah. So the next scene is, I mean, we're like 7 seconds into the show at this point.
It's not my fault you have so many bad takes,
So him and Sherman, they show him and Sherman, and I do think there's a part of this, like, it feels a little bit, I mean, there's obvious parallels with the Legion of Boom era where there's so much of this team's identity is tied up in Devin Witherspoon and Nicky Manwari, frankly, and the defense in particular. And so it's really easy to draw those parallels. It is kind of the difference between, I thought him talking to Sherman really kind of illustrated the difference between Mike and Pete, which is, I think they're both innovative minds and both like have these like kind of unique and leading edge at their time strategies. People forget because Pete Carroll was around for so long that the way that he handled defensive backs like changed the NFL forever. The modern defensive back is because Pete Carroll pushed the limits of what a defensive back could be in the
and with the rules allowed.
And with the rules allowed, absolutely. And so
and then they changed the rules on a lot of the stuff, and then all of a sudden, drafting 6'5" guys that can hold you the whole time is illegal. And
yeah. So I thought that it was like in those ways they're similar, but I think and it's even like I guess like the difference too isn't that they're having fun, because by all accounts Pete Carroll was a fun guy. He was a player's coach. And even though they were like constantly competing and anyone could lose their job at any time, like dudes were having fun, but they just
think that became less true over time, probably.
That's possible.
Feedback. Yeah.
I do also think like once those young guys that were succeeding together, they start getting, picked through and filtered out. Like when guys are not, when one guy's getting paid and another guy's having to test free agency, that will test the mettle of a coach and his philosophy and the culture of a football team. And I think pretty obviously, despite I think Pete Carroll being kind of a football cultural icon, the Seahawks culture failed after the second Super Bowl appearance under Carroll, right?
Yes. And I don't know that you blame Pete. What happened in that Super Bowl would have killed anybody, I think.
It's possible.
Especially with the dynamics of that team where the quarterback doesn't get along with the defense, and then the defense they already went into that resenting him and being like, we know you're going to get all the accolades, but we have the cool nickname, and we're the reason this team is winning. And then he throws a pick on the 1 yard line. No one ever talks about the defense giving up, the fourth quarter lead there or whatever, and injuries and all the other Cam Chancellor, MCL, last day of practice, whatever. But Sherman is a little bit of an annoying media figure to me. It's a lot of like revisionist history in my mind where he's like, your team is like so good. We were already fighting with each other, and it's like, it's day 3 of practice, bro. Like, chill out. Like, you've got a read on this team because you stood on the sideline for 20 seconds, and maybe he's texting players, and I get it, but it felt a little soon to call your shot and be like, you guys are so well already. And I think that's why Mike was like, okay, I don't know. Yeah, I guess there was no fighting. Yeah. I'm like, didn't you see Derek Hall rip the guy's neck out on episode 2 of Hard Knocks?
That's true.
Yeah. But comparing the teams is interesting because I think this team is more built along the defensive line are more stars than the star secondary. So it is now they both, I mean, football is such a 12-as-1 sport, if you will, that like if one guy fails at his job, everybody else can do everything perfect and it sucks. So you obviously need the defensive line to create quick pressure to make the DBs look good and vice versa. But I would say the difference is this team is built along the trenches and you know, but they're also, you know, it's just such an interesting, they're bringing in washed up guys to be like, hey, you just play 4th string cornerback. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think it's early for Sherman to be calling his shot. That's the only point I wanted to make.
I do think that the probably the talent level, Leonard Williams is probably the best defensive lineman of any of those since Mike Holmgren was the coach, probably, at least. That being said, I do think he's kind of unheralded, and there were unheralded guys. DeMarcus Lawrence is that too, by the way. Like, DeMarcus Lawrence doesn't put up enormous sack numbers. He's like an edge-setting guy, not necessarily a guy that's going to reel off 15 sacks, especially at this point in his career, but like that's kind of always been his game. Seahawks had guys like that back then, like Red Bryant and like, Michael Bennett was that also. Like, Michael Bennett never put up crazy sack numbers. He was just a lunatic, and we all got to see him be a lunatic, and that was fun. Like, he was very beloved, but he never put up, like, massive sack totals. Cliff Averill even never really put up enormous sack totals here, despite being a pretty well-reputed and productive defensive lineman here. There was talent. I certainly get your point, and I agree with your point, but yeah. Maybe the secondary being the face of it, while the trenches are actually who's getting the job done is a comparison. Also, they did this. They showed the quarterback meeting. You were talking about the secondary not getting along with the quarterback. I noticed it was interesting hearing Sam Darnold. So they had Jason Garrett in there. Sam Darnold has been a backup very recently. Like 2 years ago, he started a season as a backup. And there's not that many quarterback rooms that are like essentially career backups in every spot. You know what I mean? Like he's still, Sam Darnold has spent, I think, probably close to even time or more time as a backup than a starter. And I'm sure there's quarterback rooms where there's tension between starters and backups, but they don't seem to have that tension.
I think, Sam's history probably humbled him enough to being a star at USC, one of the biggest colleges, to being a first-round pick, to being New York media, to failing in the spotlight, to having a viral clip of you being an idiot and going, I see ghosts. And, it takes a lot to, that's why I'm such a humble middle act is I've been there and I know what it's like. Yeah, I've seen some ghosts, man. A lot of people seem to be talking about Cooper Kupp being in those quarterback room meetings a lot and being like the guy, and they're like, that's rare. And I can't. I tell you what, I like our quarterback room. If something were to happen, Drew Lock's probably one of the more capable backups, and then Jalen Milroe has potential if he decides to learn how to play Madden with himself. You know.
Yeah, he's interesting. It feels like we're headed for another Seneca Wallace situation with him, where it was like you'd go like you gotta find a way to get Seneca on the field. He's one of the best athletes on the team. And then if Matt Hasselbeck ever went down, they're like, well, shit, you can't run Seneca Wallace because that's your last guy. And if they ever get down to Jalen Milroe at this point, if he's just going to be the emergency quarterback, you're kind of hamstringing him with what he's able to do. I hope that they get him on the field a lot more than last year. Like I know that it might stun his development as a quarterback or whatever. He was a 3rd-round pick. He's one of the best athletes in football. I think like you got to get that guy on the field if you can.
Counterpoint, they did last year, and he fumbled the ball 8 times or whatever it was.
He didn't fumble the ball 8 times. I think he fumbled. I think he had. Go ahead.
Certainly exaggerating, yes.
Yeah.
But it also disrupts the rhythm, I think, of the offense. And if there's a negative play where, hey, maybe Sam Darnold would have done this check down and Jalen Milroe was spinning around trying to throw it or pitch it or whatever. All that stuff really matters. What's your actual guess
for how many fumbles Jalen Milroe had last year?
3?
1.
Really?
He only had 3 carries the whole season.
And how many yards? Like -7 or something like that?
4 yards.
Like pull up some Jalen Milroe stats. Because
I got Jalen Milroe stats, baby. He's got three attempts for 4 yards, 1 fumble, long of 3, didn't pass the ball one
time. Now, is that fumble lost or total fumbles?
That's total fumbles.
Okay.
So yeah, to me, the experiment hasn't even been completed. Like, he had 1 bad snap. That's not enough to me to be like, well, the experiment's over, get rid of him, you know? I do feel like what you're saying is the reflection of how the fan base felt about it. I think
they pulled him mid-season, and they pulled this package, and they went, you know what? We're a better offense when we – this is the thing is you only have 30 plays or whatever the number is, you know what I mean? And you're going to give, 10% to this guy.
I mean, I think it's probably in the hundreds, but fine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I just don't. Even looking at the preseason, he doesn't look like a real quarterback yet. Like, he doesn't look like he's going like go.
Oh yeah,
it seems like he's like coached. Maybe they talked about this where it's like, run, like go do stuff, and he's like, not yet. I got to prove that I'm a real quarterback first. And it's like, we know you're not, so just run.
Certainly in the preseason, they're going to be trying to develop him as a quarterback. What I would suggest is him being on the field oftentimes alongside Sam Darnold.
Sure.
And these packages were a receiver package or him in the backfield where he's a threat to run or throw. And you can do a lot of stuff to keep I always think that Reggie Bush's career got misunderstood, and you know my feelings on first-round running backs. I did not have those feelings back then. I thought Reggie Bush was like going to be the greatest thing ever, and obviously he didn't put up enormous numbers, but if you go back and look at those Saints teams that he played on and how much space just him being on the field created because players had to play closer to the line of scrimmage, like it's no secret that their mid-range passing game was a lot better because of him being there. And those numbers didn't show up in him running the ball. And I think he would have been a tremendous fit in Houston. If you remember, he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick, and Houston picked Mario Williams instead. He would have been a fantasy icon. He'd have been LaDainian Tomlinson of his time if he went to Houston. But I think that Milroe just being on the field is enough of a decoy to be meaningful. And then also he's got the athleticism to back it up.
I think to be a decoy, you have to be able to prove something first. Like, people aren't going to respect a lineman in the wide receiver position just because it's funky. Like they have to see him bowl a couple guys over before they actually give a shit, I think.
Well, he's also.
I don't think Jalen Milroe has. Yeah, I think he has that potential. Now, we're not in the building. We don't know what his abilities are like, and clearly there's a meeting with him and McDonald where McDonald's like, look at this, look at the problems you can cause for a defense. If you run it, we're screwed. If you throw it, we're screwed. We're screwed either way. But you need to be decisive and actually. And he's like, I think I know what I'm doing, and that gives me a little bit of like, what do you? He's got this. He's supposed to be leading edge of VR training.
Yeah.
Just one game, just the preseason. Maybe they're working on specific coaching points, but the whole time it was like, just run. Like he's holding the ball, and once he actually runs when he's like in trouble, amazing, and he's tiptoeing on the sideline and turning that into a big play. And certainly things happen much faster. The 3 seconds you have to make that decision, crazy. That being said, that's what you're being drafted for, and figure it out.
You think there's any part of that? Because I actually agree with you completely on he does seem just like, doesn't like the idea of being labeled a running quarterback or being pigeonholed. Do you think there's a part of him that's got the like Lamar Jackson, nobody wanted him to play quarterback, I think, going into college, and so he went to the place that let him play quarterback, and then he wouldn't work out with receivers at the combine, and then he went to the team that was willing to take him as a quarterback, and then obviously, like on the field, he's been tremendous for the Ravens. I think he's obviously got some conflict with the team on occasion, contract-wise, and maybe with what they're doing, but he's been nothing short of Hall of Fame caliber to this point in his career, and I think Milroe, from a character standpoint, is right up there with Lamar Jackson and athleticism.
Well, we see his best friend is Terrion Arnold, an upstanding citizen. And
sure. Well, if everyone gets judged on the quality of their friends, I got to stop talking to you. No, I think that he, by all accounts, the character is great, and you're like, if it is him resisting it, then I guess, part of the deal is you got a cheap, essentially free backup quarterback for the next 3 years. If that's all he is, that's still great. Like, if that means that you're not forced to sign Drew Lock to another contract after this year, like that's great. Whether that means that the Seahawks just don't need that level of veteran anymore because Milroe has filled his spot, or Lock gets an opportunity elsewhere, which would actually kind of be the dream. I think we're all rooting for Drew Lock at this point in Seattle. That'd be great, but there does feel like there's a little bit of unused talent, like wasted talent, having him just be your third string quarterback. Because that's the deal too, is you can't really have him be your third string quarterback on game day. He's got to be your second quarterback. Have Drew Lock be your emergency quarterback so that you don't have to have him on the active roster, on the active whatever it is, like 45 on game day.
Yeah.
So
he just doesn't pass the eye test for me yet. Like, even watching Russell Wilson preseason in his rookie year, I was like, wait, this guy is better than Matt Flynn. Like, this guy is actually, like, it's with the twos, it's against the twos, but he's moving the ball, he's making the right, his little whoop-de-doos are in the right timing, like.
Well, then Flynn got hurt, and you got to see him play against the ones in that final preseason game. I remember going into that game like, shit, this is like horrible. This is such a bad decision. And then he turned out, and I'm a defender of Russ's career in Seattle. Like, I think that Russell Wilson is the author of some of the greatest moments of my life sports-wise, and it's hard for me to hear people be like, nah, he's a piece of shit, he's always been selfish. And it's like, maybe, but he brought a Super Bowl to Seattle, so.
Recency bias is a thing, and I have, in previous years, gone back and watched some of those magical seasons in the whatever, the NFL 15-minute highlight, no commercials, no huddles, just here's the snap, and you're going like, this guy was incredible. incredible player. So he's got my respect, forever. I don't have his because he's a selfish loser, but that's a personal problem.
All right, hold on. I'm going to get back to my...
Seneca Wallace never really showed that he could be a competent quarterback, too. I mean, that's kind of the thing is like, yeah, you can line Milroe up outside, you can move him around, but the threat of him being able to complete a real pass has got to be there.
Yeah.
And hopefully it can. But that's I can't imagine... There's no live reps. I mean, that's the conversation they were having in that is like, even Sam, once he got demoted to being a backup, he's like, wait, how do I learn to play football? Because I can't.
Yeah.
And it's like, not everyone can build a football stadium in their backyard like Russell Wilson did. But, it's tough, and I don't know what the answer is. It's not the VR goggles. They're not working.
Yeah, well, and I mean, we'll see how they... Obviously, Jaden Daniels has taken some heat recently. We'll see. He's the real poster boy for those. But I did like... They did have a little bit of the human stuff that I thought was interesting. First off, Terrion Arnold's agent calling John Schneider and going, he's got offers from all over the place. That felt like a comedy agent to me. That felt like somebody going, there's clubs all over your fucking city that want him. You better give us an offer now, you know?
That's funny. It's probably true. I mean, he worked out with like 7 teams, and I'm sure... One funny thing is that I thought they were calling... There was a clip earlier where they call Terrion a chatty guy or something like that. And I thought later when he was on the phone with the agent, I was like, she will not shut up. I thought they were joking about her for a minute. And I had to rewatch it and be like, were they talking shit about his agent? Like, can't get this bitch off the phone. So I was like, well, I can't believe they included that in the episode. But
hope the ink's dry on that contract. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was very funny to be like, because she was like, they were going around in circles where it was like, he's going to come in and work, and we're going to make him a better human. Yeah. We got a ton of, all right, well, we're good to go. I'm just checking because it's like, we already, we signed him. Like, I got other shit to do, lady. Like, yeah. But
I gotta get on this treadmill, this desk treadmill. I gotta get one of these desk treadmills, by the way.
Oh, it looks amazing. How much of these? Yeah, I wonder how much of those. It's a cool insight into the GM agent conversations. How candid are those? I'm sure it depends on every agent is playing their own little game, and you have relationships with different people. But it was cool to hear them just go, here's the deal. And I don't know, do you like this signing of Arnold? Are you
Yeah, I like the signing of Arnold, and I like the signing of Trayvon Diggs also. I think they're both like low risk guys that I think Terrion Arnold is a really great fit for Mike McDonald's defense. I think Diggs is a less obvious fit. But I think in either case, you're like, inexpensive guys with some upside. Diggs might not have it. He might be done. Terrion Arnold's very young, was a first-round pick, made sense for the Seahawks that year even, and they, you saw John Schneider talking about how they loved his interview and all that stuff, and some of that maybe's played up for the cameras a little bit, but no, I mean, I think it's a great fit, and the biggest thing is they don't have to worry about, like, I'm sure there's no dead money attached to him, or if there is, it's minimal. And, as long as he doesn't, they cut him and he fucking breaks into John Schneider's office with a gun, we're good. That's obviously a joke, but I think it's great. It's like it's a gift to be able to, and also it's a gift that the team is, once again, a destination for these guys looking to either restart their careers or win a championship. And the Seahawks don't have to fight and pay a bunch of money for those kind of guys right now. That's a gift.
I think we always complain about the lack of media coverage, and I think this is where it can play into our hands. Is like we could sign a 7-time felon, and we're still not going to get covered by ESPN. This guy could be O.J. Simpson in his prime, and no reporters are coming out to the Pacific Northwest. And like it's a nice spot. Like what was the Ernest Jones quote? Like there's literally nothing to do here except play football. Like you're not going to go out to nightclubs. They close at 1 a.m. or whatever. The the city's boring as fuck. The people will leave you alone. You can garden. You can take an ice bath. No one cares. I do think I also thought it was funny that they asked the fullback for his like.
Robbie Oots.
Do you remember this guy? I don't know. This guy remembers anything. His job is to bang his head against a wall. Like
well, he played. It's funny because he played tight end at Alabama, and even like he was an enormous tight end. Matching up as a tight end against that, he was not matching up against that corner. I promise you that. Like they were putting a linebacker or maybe letting a defensive lineman drop back into coverage. Also, by the way, he did not seem like he remembered anything. Like that was not a great answer. He's like, I don't know. I think he's like, best friends with Jalen. I don't know.
Seems cool. I don't know, man. Do you remember what day it is? I don't know. We just completed practice. You told me to hit that guy, and I have 7 concussions. Yeah, not going to be my character witness in court. Where was Andrew? He was with me the day of, or I don't remember really. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that the people feel like they can come here and fit into a thing and build towards a thing. And again, even if he's suspended for 8 games or the whole season, like we still have under contract for next. Like he's restricted, free agent. I think next year too. So. This is just a smart depth piece, and maybe what's his name, Diggs. A lot of corners move to safety when their athleticism starts to go, and I think I saw a thing where Diggs said this is the first offseason he's been healthy enough to just train all offseason. So, maybe we do get him, and we'll take the comp picks if he signs a big contract. Like that sounds fun.
Yeah. Devin Witherspoon gets his extension finally, and everyone in the locker room was celebrating him. This is not to just go straight comedy focused, but this is like how everybody pretends they're happy for you when you win a contest. Like, they actually seem genuinely happy for him, but I'm like imagining someone having this level of success in comedy and going, we'd all be talking shit behind his back. Like, he didn't deserve it. I deserved it way more. Can you believe
Let's
that
play
he
the clip about Adam Ray from last episode? And
can you believe that hacky shit he did covering that wide receiver in week 15?
Yeah. It's interesting that they said things got heated. Like that was the talking point. You and I discussed it in the offseason a little bit. They seem to be lowballing players and seeing what they would. I mean, Derek Hall signed maybe 75% of what he could have got.
Yeah.
A couple other guys. And so the
Rick
word
Woolen,
on the street was
Rick
they're
Woolen
so
got
far
less than
apart.
anyone expected him to get, right? I don't think he was ever coming back. I don't think the Seahawks probably made him a real offer, but the point being, like, they were not out just free spending.
I'd be curious to see if someone offered him a good offer and he thought maybe joining a loaded Eagles, secondary is my best bet to score a big contract.
Maybe.
Because everyone knows he's talented. I kind of wanted to re-sign him just because I was like, if he can get rid of the bonehead plays, like he's legit good coverage, but I don't think the team was ever going to accept that level of, we just won the game, now get a taunting penalty in the NFC Championship, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, well, and I remember in the weeks leading up to him being signed, he was tweeting out a bunch of like ellipses, like nobody's calling. I think he had like a Fresh Prince meme where it was like he's like me looking at my offer. It was like so I don't know if there was as much interest as, I mean, this feels a little bit like Brandon Browner post Seahawks, where it was like there wasn't really a great fit for him elsewhere. Like, but I don't know. You might be right. Big contract though, the largest ever for a cornerback, a ton of guaranteed money. So it's a 4-year extension, but he's actually under contract for the next 6 years, which they talked about. And then I did like John Schneider, because you just never think about this. John Schneider's like ostensibly in charge of the team, but Devin Witherspoon on this contract will make more money than John Schneider will probably ever make in his career, and he's probably one of the highest paid front office like GM types in football. And he's like, did it like shock you when you saw that in your account or whatever? And in my mind, I was like, this is one rich guy talking to another. And then I was like, he actually just allowed this other guy to become way richer than him. So this might be a genuine question. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Schneider's looking at his tens of millions and going, boy, if that was triple that number, it would be fantastic. But yeah, asking someone that just got paid millions of dollars what they're going to buy you is certainly certainly a move. Hey, you just won the Seattle International Comedy Competition. Where's my Rolls Royce?
I don't think the purveyor of that wants a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I don't. Not good gas mileage for the road gigs in Idaho, but yeah, I'm curious.
That's not even what I was thinking of, but we can talk about that off the pod.
Sure. I think, yeah, funny, all smiles. I mean, that's what's interesting is the dichotomy of, I know it's not exactly, Schneider's got his team of people negotiating that he shouts out often that I don't remember their names, but it is funny to have things were heated and then the very next day, like, buddy old pal, you know. But I always wonder what that means. Like,
yeah.
What does heated actually mean? Like, was Spoon saying, I'm done negotiating as soon as the season starts, so we have a hard deadline? Is that what, or he's like, I'm going to find you and kill your family? Like, what is the, and then the next day he's like, buddy old pal. Yeah.
You keep conflating Terrion Arnold with Devin Witherspoon.
He's already a bad influence, you know?
To me, that whole thing has felt like it was made for the camera. The fact that he didn't sign it until now, but Devin Witherspoon was in camp at the earliest possible time he could be. He left, very little doubt, I think, in people's minds that he was committed to coming back to the Seahawks and staying long term. And
Mike McDonald's son is wearing his jersey. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't think there was any doubt that it was going to get done. So
it felt
I don't
purely
know
played up for the camera to me.
Maybe.
So they had the two.
Yeah.
They had three human interest stories. Montori Foster, who's the receiver that kept talking about. Which, by the way, I got to imagine. I didn't realize he was. I don't know if he was on the whatever it is, like 80 strong roster night, whatever that they say.
The Ready Squad, yeah.
The Ready Squad or what, but he got a Super Bowl ring and he was there at the Super Bowl.
He's a Super Bowl champion like I'm a golf champion.
For those of you that don't know, Andrew won a comedian's golf tournament called the Openers Open yesterday. That's a 4-man scramble. That's the talent level is evened out, and he carried his team to victory.
That's right.
Montori Foster, though, they made a big deal out of like he's making these big catches, and then obviously the story of him working in the offseason, substitute teaching, he got his real estate license. I did like the part where they were like, I haven't sold anything yet. And it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe this isn't quite the lucrative side hustle you thought it would be. But my favorite part of the whole Montori Foster storyline was I don't know his name, but the linebackers coach was like, this little pissant 87 is making you look stupid. We should be crushing this motherfucker. And I'm like, this is your teammate. Like, this is...
You got a job to do. You got to go block that guy. Yeah. Yeah. Real estate is, one of those fake jobs. There's so many fake jobs out there that's like, what do you do around here? Just drive people to Redfin listings that you saw online and then take 10% of the money? Like, this guy's, studying a playbook and getting crushed by, gigantic football players. And then in his spare time, he's like, oh, I'll check out this apartment down the way. But apparently he's not that good at it. So he's on the practice squad. He's going to get cut from the realtor.
He's on the ready squad there too.
Yeah. Well, he's like going through, I don't know if someone just told him to get a real estate license, but then he's like, I didn't realize there are all these fees and stuff. And he's like, better pawn that Super Bowl ring to pay rent for a couple.
The whole time I was watching him with a Super Bowl ring, I was like, what do you think he could get for that? Like 60 grand? I don't know. It's a pretty good salary in some parts of the country.
It is interesting that when you think about these guys in training camp, they live in hotels. I don't know why that strikes me as crazy, because you would, like, I don't know, is there a comedy condo for the Seahawks? You think they would invest in
They need to get like a college dorm of some kind.
Some kind of situation instead of maybe the Hyatt as a partner. I'm sure the NFL has hotel partners or stuff, but yeah, it's just fascinating to be like, I remember Russell Wilson was like, this is my roommate, the backup running back, and now we're best friends. And now John Schneider's like, well, I guess I got to keep this guy on the team for a while. And
they showed Uso Seumalo play an 8-man football.
Boy, that guy stinks.
He did get worked a little bit. My dad played for the Orcas Island football team in the 1970s, which is
also Pacific Islander.
Yeah,
You're
he's
part
also
Pacific Islander.
Puget Sound Islander. He first off, like, what a nightmare guy to have in your 8-man football league. A guy that's like, well, he's right now 330 pounds. When they showed the videos of him, it looked like an adult beating up children. Like, he's just murdering these kids out there. I mean, here's what I'll say. It seems like the Seahawks are committed to finding a nose tackle that they don't have to pay $4 million a year like Jonathan Hankins. They drafted Devin Eastern. They got Seumalo on the roster, and I'm happy about that, and I think that's a position they need to fill. It was funny to have him be like a human interest piece and then struggle on like just
just getting worked.
Yeah.
Every play, and then showing him on the bench, being like, "Well, it's not every play. It's just he was pushing me while I was down." And it's like, what do you want him to help you up? Like, hey, the quarterback's that way, buddy. Like, this is a really violent game.
Yeah.
I also didn't. His attitude stuck out as like sort of like, hey, just not that good, and yeah, I guess I got to try harder or something. It's just like a defeat. Like, he just already defeated mentally, and I think he needs Russell Wilson's mind coach or whatever.
He needs some bubble water or whatever that shit's called.
Yeah, nano bubbles.
Nano bubbles.
Yeah. It is brutal side of football. I'm glad that they're giving some of these guys a shot. I don't know. I mean, Foster has looked good. They also showed his lowlights, this undrafted wide receiver. But I don't know, even if he balls out, I don't know if there's room for him. And if he's being highlighted, then he's certainly going to not probably make it through waivers onto the ready squad again. So now
that
because they've got White, who's shown, I think he's like blocked a couple field goals or punts on the special teams, and so I wonder if they're regretting paying Jake Bobo at all, or if they will in a couple years.
It's interesting.
But they also like him as that mismatch, good blocking receiver.
As much
and
as
Bobo's
there's going to be
pulled
this
down
focus,
some catches.
Yeah, true. And as much as there's going to be this focus on, I mean, teams were drafting tight ends 2 or 3 rounds before they were projected to go based on talent. like having maybe the next frontier, and the Seahawks could be there already, is like great blocking receivers. And obviously Cooper Kupp is known to be a great blocker. JSN, surprisingly, like for a guy of his like longtime skill set, is a pretty good blocker. And then having other guys that can block downfield a little bit. Bobo blocking like a tight end, and they have a couple of these tight ends that block pretty well. One of the few teams to be employing, two fullbacks technically, because Robbie Utes is still in the roster, although I think we might have seen.
He's going to miss the year, I think. Did
he officially go on the IR? I mean, he just, I don't know if Robbie Utes is ever going to play football. He barely played last year, and then just a neck injury that's kept him out for 2 years is like this could be it.
He went to IR. They said it's not career threatening, but if they didn't fix it, this is to help him get healed properly, or what, I don't know, whatever their lie is that they're going to tell us, but
so then one of those fullbacks, Brady Russell, and we can end on this, they did the thing midway through the game. This is how serious and competitive football is. Halfway through a preseason game, Brady Russell's wife is at home going into labor, and he leaves. Dude, she said she was 41 weeks. She was 6 days late. Like, my wife would not be letting me play in a preseason. Like, I took 3 weeks off before our first kid of comedy, and a big chunk before that off the road. And I was gonna do the same thing with the second kid. My last weekend of comedy before she was born, my wife went into labor early, like hours after I tell a joke where I say I was on stage. It's not actually true, but hours after I was still at the comedy club. You gotta ham it up
for the cameras like Hard Knocks.
Of course. We got, yeah, exactly. That's right.
This man knows storytelling.
That was wild. And I also, like, it was kind of funny how McDonald was so empathetic and nice, and then immediately you watched him flip the switch, and he was back into game mode. He's like, "You're going to pick her up? Oh shit! All right, back to the back to getting everything we can out of this preseason game."
Yeah. What is the level of thing you think your wife would let you do to miss the birth of your child? What is the like a Super Bowl, if you had World Series tickets? Babe, we can make another kid. The Mariners are never going to get
tickets to nothing.
A wild card game.
Playing in the Super Bowl, maybe. Playing the World Series. I don't think that. I mean, I certainly don't. Missing the birth of my child would be a no. Yeah, I mean, I stayed pretty local.
What is the lowest level that you would want to miss the birth of your child versus the lowest level of what your wife? What's that gap? How do we close that gap here? Would you hey, Mariners spring training only comes around once a year.
FanFest.
Look, I gotta meet the dump it here guy. I heard
the Rainiers are doing a signing at Safeway.
Babe, it's on the way to the hospital. By random crazy off memory, like Tino Martinez was signing baseballs at an AM/PM when I was a kid one time, and we stopped in. There was like nobody there. Like, what are we even doing here? Why is he at AM/PM? I don't understand this, but
isn't it crazy that story exists within the same lifetime of a person who's also watching the Dodgers collect $300 million a year for a TV contract? You know what I mean? Like, sports media has changed so much. A fucking gas station. A star first baseman was signing at a gas station.
Boy, not to switch sports here, but all the LA teams look like they're going to be in trouble now.
Oh, I didn't see anything new about the Angels. What happened with the Angels?
Well, I don't know about the Angels, but like the Dodgers, there's shady accounting, and then they're gonna. I think I saw a thing like Jeff Passan just got. Maybe that was.
Did he get subpoenaed?
The DOJ launched an investigation into Jeff Passan because he hid information about stuff, and
Whoa.
So
that's wild. Dude, with that haircut in prison, he's going to be popular.
I'll show you how to be popular.
I did not know Wicked made it to your life. That is how pervasive that movie is. What lady were you dating that watched that movie? And hopefully she was
and my brother's kids. I watched it on mushrooms, which was a bad idea, but
all right. Thank you guys for watching this. Andrew, we're going to be, you and I both, at the Tin Room Bar, Tin Room Theater in Burien, Washington. It's under or next to the Tin Room
only
Bar.
10 tickets left. There are only 40 tickets in total, but there are only 10 left.
That's give them the Poor Sports Seattle bump, baby. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week.
They
Hang
have
out,
cream
Andrew,
for that.
so your recording uploads.